Hi everyone, welcome to SKR Yoga and Wellness. My name is Sam and today we are doing a class dedicated entirely to getting the splits on both the right and the left sides. So of course this class is very geared towards flexibility. We're going to be really lengthening our muscles, all the muscles needed to get us into the splits. If you've never tried the splits before or this is totally new to you, please do not worry. You can totally work at your own pace, at your own level. This is not something that comes very easily. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of repetition. So don't discourage yourself. Give it some time, give it lots of repetition, and then with time, who knows, maybe you'll also be able to get into those splits. So we're gonna start actually lying down on our back. And once you get down here, just give your knees a nice big squeeze in towards your chest, maybe rocking a little bit side to side. And on an exhale, bring your forehead in towards your knees. And then relaxing back down onto the mat. We're gonna open up right away into happy baby. So flexing at your feet, elbows come inside your knees, and then hands grab on the outside edges of your feet, really opening up the hip joints. And again, you can just rock from side to side here. Try and send your breath really deep into your belly to encourage this opening up of the hips. So deep breathing, just rocking side to side. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And on your next exhale, we'll release the feet back down onto the mat. You're gonna take your right leg, flex your foot, and cross it over the top of your left knee. Then from here, bend, pick up your left foot off the mat. You can grab either behind your thigh or in front of your left shin, and then just gently guide your leg back in towards your chest. As we do this, make sure your right foot stays flexed. This is just to protect your knee from any friction or torquing in this position. And you might not be able to pull your knee in very far, that's totally okay. Just trying to create more space and length in those hips right off the bat. And we'll release that side down onto the mat. Right away switching, so flexing at your left foot, crossing it over your right thigh, bending that leg in, and pulling the knee in closer towards your chest. Still remembering to breathe. I invite you in any of the stretches that we end up doing in today's class to imagine that you're sending your breath in towards that muscle that we're stretching. So literally imagining that we're inhaling into that muscle belly and creating more space and length for the stretch to happen. And we'll release that back down onto the mat. So now from here, we're gonna bend the right knee in and let's stretch the left leg out onto the mat. And now we're just gonna extend the right leg up towards the sky. And it's okay if it doesn't go too far. You're gonna grab either behind your thigh here or up behind your calf. Just make sure you're not grabbing right behind your knee. We want to avoid that. So either above or below the knee, wherever you're grabbing. And we're gonna turn this into a little bit of a dynamic stretch. So I have both of my feet flexed here. And what I'm gonna do is for about 5 seconds, push my leg into my hands, and you want your hands to resist against the weight and the push of your leg. So it's almost like I'm trying to send my leg back down to the floor, but my hands and my upper body is stopping it. So I'm pushing into my hands, really pushing, and then we'll release. And as we release, I want you to guide that leg closer towards you. And we're gonna do that twice more. So again, from wherever you are now, push your leg in towards your hands, really push We'll do this for about 5 seconds. Pushing into those hands and release. And now we've got one more round here, so from wherever you are, pushing into your hands. Feel that resistance. Try not to let it move at all. And release. And hopefully with each release, you were able to pull that leg in just a little bit farther by putting that muscle under intense stress and strain by pushing into the hands. When we do release it, actually allows it to stretch even more, which is kind of nice. And we'll go right ahead and try that on the other side. So release your right leg down. We're gonna hug the left knee in, make sure we're flexing both feet, and then extend your left leg up towards the sky. Again, grabbing a hold either above or below the knee. And we're gonna push into the hands, so finding that resistance. Really push against the weight of your leg for 3 more seconds, 2, 1, and release. Pull it in closer to you if you can. And once again, pushing into your hand, finding this dynamic stretch. And release, pull it in closer towards you. Last round, here we go, really pushing in towards your hands. Try not to let this resistance creep up into the shoulders, this tension. We really want it all to be in the hands and in the arms here. And release one last time, pull that leg even closer in towards you. We'll hold here for a little bit longer. Remembering to breathe into the stretch. Imagine that left hamstring finding more length and space. And we'll release back down onto the mat. So we're gonna come up onto all fours now. So just make your way up. Hands are gonna be right underneath your shoulders. Knees right under your hips. And from here, right away, we're gonna step the right leg through. So right leg in between the palms at the front of the mat, finding low lunge. And we'll come up onto the fingertips here. So trying to find a nice long spine. Make sure your ankle is right underneath your knee, so we're making 90 degrees here with that front leg. And then on an exhale, we're just gonna push into the front heel, send your hips back, and find half splits. So stretching into that front hamstring. And then on an inhale, coming forward once more, finding a half lunge here. Getting my words mixed up. So from here, in our half lunge, we send the hips back into half splits. And again, inhale, forward. And exhale, half splits. Twice more, inhale, forward, and exhale, half splits. Last round, we'll just pause here in our low lunge. Lift your arms all the way up, right beside your ears. Make sure your belly button is pulling in towards your spine here, so we're protecting the lower back. And we'll release the arms back down onto the mat on the inside of your right foot. So both of your palms are on the inside of your right foot, and we're gonna lift the toes, open them up. So now my front foot is turned out here, and then this already might be a fairly intense stretch in your right glute, or if you'd like to progress further, you can bring your elbows down onto the mat, finding lizard pose here on the first side. Remembering to breathe into the stretch. Allowing the weight of your upper body and chest to pull you forward deeper into the stretch. So we're not really using a ton of effort here. And we'll come back up onto the palms. you're gonna toe heel your front foot over to the opposite edge of your mat, and then let your knee drop. So essentially you're coming into pigeon pose. So make any other little adjustments that you need to find a comfortable place here. If you find that your right glute is a little bit high off the mat, you can always place a block or a cushion underneath to give you that extra support. And once again, you can stay up tall here if this is enough of a stretch, or if you'd like to progress, just softly walk your hands forward, let your forehead come down, and breathe into this stretch here. So again, we're not using a ton of effort, a ton of muscle to push ourselves into this pose. We're kind of allowing gravity to do most of the work here. And we're just focusing on breathing, opening up that space in the right glute. We'll take 5 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, lift your forehead off the mat, walk your hands in to come to a seated position. And now from here, we're just gonna send the weight back into the right hip and then just roll onto your sit bones to turn and face the long edge of your mat. And then from here, you're just gonna extend your legs out towards the corners of your mat, just finding a nice wide-legged seated position here. And you can give your legs a shake. We're really just relaxing the legs in this position, not really forcing or tensing any muscles here. And on an inhale, we're gonna grow, get taller. And then on an exhale, just walking your hands forward, going down as low as you can, and just relaxing into this stretch for the inner groin. So if you're really serious about wanting to improve in the splits, another really great stretch you can do to stretch this inner groin area is you actually do this side straddle against a wall. So you lie down as if you were gonna do legs up the wall, that restorative yoga position, but instead of leaving your legs up the wall, you open them up into a straddle, and then gravity literally helps to pull your legs down if you stay there for about a minute or so. It's a really great stretch to open up the hips and open up the hamstrings and the adductors and all of the muscles that you really do need for the splits. And like I said, gravity does most of the work, so it's pretty easy to do. It just takes a little bit of time. And from here, we're gonna walk our hands back in and roll back up from wherever you were. And now we're just gonna bring the legs together and come back to that all fours position that we started in. I'm just gonna flip to face the opposite side of my mat to change things up a little bit. So hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips, and then from here, take that left foot, step it forward in between the palms to find low lunge. And then from here, up on your fingertips on an exhale, just like we did on the first side, you're gonna extend, push into your left heel, finding half splits. And then inhale, forward into low lunge. Exhale, pushing back into half splits. Inhale, forward, low lunge. Exhale, back. Inhale, low lunge. Last round, exhale, back. Inhale. And we'll hold onto this low lunge, lifting the arms up overhead. Again, make sure you're really squeezing your belly button in towards your lower back so we're not spilling any weight out the bottom. Keeping our legs and core engaged. And we'll release both hands down to the center of the mat. So my hands are inside of the left foot. And we're gonna lift the left toes, open them up so they're turned out into lizard pose. And again, you can stay up here on your hands or walk down onto your elbows. Remembering to breathe and send your inhale and exhale into the muscle you feel the stretch in the most. And on your next inhale, we'll walk the palms in, coming back up. Now, same thing, you're gonna toe heel your left foot over to the opposite side of your mat, and then gently place yourself down into pigeon pose. You might need to adjust your back leg ever so slightly. Get comfortable. If you need that block or cushion to support underneath your glute, feel free to use that here. And on an inhale, grow, get taller. And on an exhale, either stay here or fold forward. Trying to get comfortable, or as comfortable as you can in this posture. We'll take 5 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, slowly lift back up, coming back to a seated position. And then with that same transition, we're gonna send the weight back, roll over your sit bones, let the knees bend before we open up again into this wide-legged stretch. So we're gonna repeat this stretch here on the second side. So on an inhale, sitting up nice and tall, and then exhale, once again, just walking your hands forward. Relaxing as much as you can into the stretch. And walking your hands back in. Coming back to a seated position. And now we are going to come back for a third time to all fours. But this time, just walk your hands a little bit past your shoulders, tuck your toes, and we're coming to downward facing dog. So take a couple paddles through the feet here, stretch out your calves, shake your head out yes and no. Get any kinks out of your neck and shoulders. Try and send your heels down close to the mat. And on your next inhale, we'll lift the right leg up towards the sky. And you can open up that hip, so we're not trying to keep it straight and square here. We're opening up the hip and sending the leg up towards the sky. And then on an exhale, bring the knee in, step the right foot forward between the palms, and we're coming up right away to runner's lunge. Arms are reaching up right beside your ears. We're finding 90 degrees with this front leg here, so knee is right over top of your ankle. And then on an exhale, flip your back heel and open up your arms. So we're finding warrior 2. Arms are reaching out the sides nice and long. We're maintaining 90 degrees with that front knee. Belly button pulling in towards your spine. Standing up nice and tall. And now from here, we're gonna windmill the back arm to come all the way back down into the runner's lunge. And then we're gonna straighten the front knee and step our back foot in simultaneously. Now make sure your heels are in one line. Your back foot can be at a 45-degree angle. And then we're just relaxing the upper body over top of the shin and thigh here. So you can think of sending your forehead towards your shin. Remembering to breathe into wherever you feel this most. Trying to find more space and more length. And from here, we'll step the front leg up to meet the right. Feet are about hip-width distance apart. You can bend your knees generously. Grab a hold of opposite elbows and just let your body sway from side to side. So we're just trying to release the lower back here. So you really want to let your spine dangle over top of your legs and let gravity create space between your vertebrae. And we'll release the hands down to the mat, and we'll take half of a flow from this position. So on an inhale, straighten the legs, come to halfway lift with a flat back. Exhale, fold, place your hands down, walk your feet out to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. And exhaling back to downward facing dog. We'll take about 5 breaths here. And on your next inhale, we'll lift the left leg, this time up towards the sky. You can open up that hip. So we don't have to keep it square to the floor here. We're allowing the hip to open, just trying to find more space in the hip. And you might feel a bit of a stretch into your right hamstring here. And on an exhale, we'll bring the knee in, softly placing the foot forward in between the palms, coming up to a runner's lunge. Feeling your core engaged, that belly button is pulling in towards your spine. Really finding reach through the arms and through your back heel as well. And on your next exhale, we'll flip the back heel, opening up to the side of your mat, finding warrior 2. Long and strong in this warrior 2, core is engaged, spine is long, shoulders right on top of your hips. We have 90 degrees in the front leg. And from this warrior 2, we will windmill the right arm up and over the head to come back down onto the mat. And then simultaneously, stretch your front leg and step your right foot in just a few inches. Your right foot can be at a 45-degree angle. While we're in this pyramid pose, this forward fold here, try to keep your hips totally square to the front of your mat. So you're not opening up towards the right side, but you're actually staying square. So you might need to keep that right hip pulling forwards and that left hip plugging back while you're here in this lunge. Take 2 more breaths. And now stepping your right foot forward to meet the left, hip width distance apart. Generous bend in the knees. Grab a hold of opposite elbows, and once again, just like we did on the first side, swaying back and forth, finding a ragdoll fold. Let your upper body be heavy. Imagine your lower back releasing into this posture. Taking it nice and easy. And now once again, we'll take half a flow to bring us back to downward dog. So on an inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold and plant the palms, step back to plank. Inhale here. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. We'll take 3 big breaths here. Filling up the lungs, finding a nice long spine. And once you finish your 3 breaths, go ahead and plant your knees down onto the floor and sit back onto your heels. We're gonna go ahead and try for the splits. So the easiest way I find to do this is to start from exactly as we are. So just sitting back on your heels. I'm just gonna scoot back a little bit on my mat. And we're gonna get into it very similar to how we started the class actually. So you're just gonna start stepping forward into a bit of a low lunge. And then from here, you're gonna send your weight back so your hips are kind of in the middle of your feet here. And then try stretching out both of your legs. And then however far down you make it is as far as you make it. And we're just gonna sit in this posture wherever you're at for a few breaths. Again, remembering to breathe into wherever you feel this most. And remembering that this is also a practice. This is not something that comes very easy. I grew up as a competitive dancer, so splits are something that I've kind of always had since I was a kid because I worked on it a lot when I was a kid, and it's carried through now as an adult, and it's of course carried over into my yoga practice, that flexibility. But of course it takes a lot of time and it does take a lot of practice. It's not something that you kind of just wake up one day able to do. So be patient, be kind with yourself, and we'll take our last couple breaths here. And with your last breath, you're going to, from wherever you are, you can just push yourself back up or send your weight onto your right hip and then just bring your legs back together. I'm just going to turn around and face the other side here to do the left. So same thing, you're stepping your left leg forward, kind of finding this low lunge position, and then from here sending your hips back about halfway. Use your hands as much as you need, stretch out that front leg, and then stretch out that back leg as much as you can. This is actually my easier leg, I guess you could say. I always find the splits just a bit easier on this side, and I find my alignment is much easier to come by for some reason. But you might find that too, that one side is more flexible than the other, or one side just feels more comfortable than the other, and that's totally natural. No one is really perfectly symmetrical, so one side is always going to be a different experience than from the other. We'll take a few more breaths here. Try to find ease in this posture. And once again, releasing. Just take your legs wherever you are, plant the feet in front of you, and just in kind of a windshield washer motion, let the knees fall from side to side. Nice and easy. And with that, we will come down, wrapping up the class, back where we started, so lying down on your back. And once again, you're gonna hug your knees into your chest, just like how we started class. And on an exhale, lifting your forehead towards your knees, making yourself a nice little ball. And relax back down onto the mat. Keep your right knee hugging in, left leg will extend. And this time we're gonna come into a little twist, so crossing your right leg over, extending your right arm out to the side. Keep that right shoulder blade plugging in towards the floor so both shoulders are in contact with your mat. Breathing into this spinal stretch here. And on an inhale, firm up the belly. Bring that leg back to center. And right away we'll switch and go to the other side. So left knee in, right leg is extended. And on an exhale, cross that knee over to the other side. Keeping both shoulders on the floor. Send your breath into your belly button. And on your next inhale, firm up the belly. Come on back to center. And we'll open up into Shavasana. We won't be here for too long, just about a minute. But relax those legs that we worked and stretched so hard. Relax your arms by your side. Really let gravity take over and softly close your eyes. Take a moment to thank yourself for stepping onto the mat today and for working on your splits. Maybe it's a goal you've had that you've always wanted to achieve. So congratulate yourself for taking one step towards that goal and working on your flexibility to get there. While we're here for the rest of Shavasana, I again invite you to send your breath, or imagine that you're sending your breath deep in towards your legs. So towards your hamstrings, your thighs, that we just worked really hard. So we want to send our breath there, creating space. We'll be here for about another 8 breaths or so. Gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Let your head roll from side to side. And on your own time, when you feel ready, softly roll onto the right side of your body and come on up into a seated position. And softly blink your eyes open as we do this. Bring your hands in prayer position in front of your heart, and namaste. Thank you so much, yogis, for doing this practice with me. I hope you feel that your splits have improved even just by a centimeter or so. Please don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to SKR Yoga and Wellness if you haven't already. And that's pretty much it for today. So thank you again, and I hope to see you on the mat again next week.